You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Daytona. We are live here for the Dynasty Racing Pro Series. Ready to rock and rumble for 80 laps. I'm Liam Irving, joined up in the booth by none other than Matt Metler. Matt, how you doing tonight?
It's great to finally be back up in the booth after just a wild, ludicrous week of Florida weather. And what a way to come back to be right here Saturday night primetime Dynasty Racing League. After last week coming off the road course back to the high banks of Daytona. And we know this is going to be a thriller.
It absolutely is. These guys just getting qualifying finished up. We'll go ahead and run through the grid for you. Got Taylor Butcher Benjamin with the hot lap here. Puts him in first. And Thomas Harmon, Matt Burgess, Austin Collins, David Wright, JP, James Pandolf, Richard Springer, Philip Bush, Sam Niederhelm, Jacob Gladulich, Brandon Brorby, Matt Sisler, and Jordan Van Westen and Cody Barber rounding out the 14-car field here today. Well, we've got some time. We're going to go ahead and bring in your pole sitter in just a moment here. Talk with him about his expectations for the race. TBB, it's Matt and Liam up in the booth. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
Not too bad. We're pretty excited to watch this Daytona race unfold, and you're going to have the best seat in the house for the start. Hot lap puts you on the pole.
Yeah, it was a pretty good lap. Just I feel like starting up front is important here, and I know a lot of people may disagree, but I think it's important to be in control of the race the best you can, because this track isn't as wide as Talladega. It's only about 3 lanes wide, and that's sketchy enough as it is. So hopefully to try to keep this number 8 up here as long as I can and keep it clean. Everybody, work together and not do any dumb bump drafting or dumb blocking early on, and can make a good show out of this.
Awesome stuff, Taylor. We wish you the best of luck here. Matt, you got anything for TBB before we get started here?
Absolutely. TBB, you got the 68 outside of you, Thomas Harmon. You two, without question, have put on some of the best battling in all of iRacing, let alone here on Saturday night. How does that change given this being a super speedway? No fast repairs. How did the two best that put on a show stay alive and be there at the end when you're starting up front here at Daytona?
Well, I just think you gotta, as much as you want to work with your teammates, if they're not really anywhere around you, you kind of just gotta, as they say, your friends are where you find them. So probably work together for a while, at least in the beginning and probably after the first pit stop, but then we'll probably look to shuffle each other when it comes down to crunch time. So we'll see what happens here. I think everybody, you know how this works at Daytona. Everybody's got a legit shot at it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're in the race at the drop of the green, you can win it. That is the report from your pole sitter, TBB, looking to keep it rolling, coming off an excellent finish last week. That is the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin is that pace car. The lights are out. The field is racked and stacked here at
Taylor,
Daytona Beach, Florida.
Dysfunctional Patriots?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just had to make sure we got him up into the right chat there. But yeah, Matt, like you said, lights are off on the pace car. These guys are ready to roll here as the lights are going out. Daytona International Speedway, the most prestigious track in all of NASCAR, just down the road at the Streamline Hotel in 1948 is where a group of guys got together to create this beautiful sport we get to watch and replicate and simulate here today, here at the high banks of Daytona. These guys ready to put on a show. That pace car is going to make the hard left turn. It'll be in the hands of Taylor Butcher Benjamin.
That's right. TBB is going to have the button here at Daytona. As we hit that Geico restart zone, green flag is in the air, and those V8s come roaring to life 2 by 2. As they climb up through the gearbox for the first time, they are still side by side as they are now coming up to speed. Taylor Butcher Benjamin on the top side, getting a big help from the 1 of Austin Collins. But don't forget that 12 of Matt Burgess. He is right there running with the 8 of TBB as it's still side by side all the way through turns 1 and 2.
These guys looking just like they did when they gridded up down the back straightaway at over 180 miles an hour at this point. These guys 190 miles an hour getting down into turn 3. And Thomas Harmon up on the top side has about a half a car length advantage. But here comes that inside, that shorter distance fighting back with a push from Matt Burgess.
Yeah, big push from Matt Burgess. And there, you mentioned the bottom line. Look how well those first 3 are formed up. Now the 21, Richard Springer in 7th. He's going to get nice and tucked in as well. And just as soon as I say that, they just get out of shape just a little bit. But you're right. When these lines get tucked in nice and tight and neat, that's when you really feel the speed. That's when you get the energy. And that was very evident when I was out there in practice with these guys. It was like you had an extra 100 horsepower all of a sudden, well over 200 miles an hour, like you see right here on the bottom. Watch these guys get the energy to run here.
Thomas Harmon shuffled out a little bit. Looks like DK might be trying to get down to his inside. Thinks better of it. They stay double wide, but Thomas Harmon got put to the top 3 wide and all the way back to 8th place. Lost 6 spots in about a corner. Now he jumps back down to the bottom side behind the 64 of Philip Bush. Taylor Butcher Benjamin continues to lead, but they're still side by side for second with that number 1, Austin Collins, rocking a different paint scheme than we're used to seeing. Leading the outside lane with help from JP in the 74.
JP in the 74, the man that called the shot. He is feeling feisty here tonight. He thinks he can get it done, and he expects nothing less than a W, as the 12 is below the double yellow line.
Yeah,
He'll be able to get...
Looking to back up a little bit there, it seems. Just kind of pulled off a 2 and didn't slow down too much, but got out of this lead, essentially the lead draft. And while everybody here is in the lead draft, all the way back to Cody Barber, a couple of these guys a bit more strung out, given a bit more space towards the back of the field.
You know, you mentioned the back of the field. You wouldn't know it by looking at the interval. Not even 0.2 of a second from the leader to the 14th place machine of Cody Barber. That's how tight these guys are running here in these freight trains, this pack racing here at Daytona. If something happens, you literally have fractions of a second to react. And that's what makes this place so thrilling as well, as it can also produce some really high-flying racing, just like you're seeing on the racetrack right now. Is the 8 now continues to lead the bottom, but here comes a new challenger on the top side. That is the one of Austin Collins, getting a ton of help from the 42 with David Wright.
Austin Collins won at Daytona in the season opener with a last lap pass. He's hoping to do it in a bit more dominating fashion this time around. The outside lane seems to be getting a bit better of a push, but it seems like they stall out every time they get next to TBB in the inside. David Wright, that's a team car, to Taylor Butcher Benjamin. They're going to be working together as best as they can. Richard Springer, another team car for those guys. He's sitting at the top side right now. Might be trying to get up in front of that 64 to get 1, 2, 3 with his teammates, but like we talked to TBB, these guys, it'd be nice to work with your teammates, but not necessarily something you're going to try super hard for. If it happens, it happens. And you know you're going to be trying to shuffle those guys out just like anybody else when we get down to the nitty-gritty of this thing.
You know, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin, in his interview, wasted no time, just alluding some light at how important this race is and how different it is and how you make friends. You want to be friends with everyone. You want to be the popular guy on campus. You want everyone to want to work with you. That one-man army, not going to work here, and that's exactly what you want to do. Friends, the more the better, the higher the chance you have to win. But then it comes time at some point where you got to literally slice their throat. But that's the beauty of this racing, is the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin got a huge shot. He is rocking that bottom line. He's in close tow there with David Wright in that 42 machine, who's up 3 spots up to second. And that bottom's formed up nicely as you see them now starting to pull away from that top line, being led by the one of Austin Collins.
And David Wright looked up top just a little bit, tried to get some air on the nose of that car. Phillip Bush looked down, almost got to the inside. Backed off just a little bit. The top 2 single filed and side by side for 3rd place on back. And it looks like Richard Springer thought about making a 3-wide move up top. Decided to stay behind the 1, but that's going to give the inside lane, who's staying together, a little bit better. Just a hair more momentum getting down the back straightaway into turn 3.
Yeah, just a hair more momentum. Can you imagine if we would have went 3 wide right there? That's not what you want to see early on, that sucker hole coming into play. No driver wants to be there, but everyone gets back formed up on the top side. As you can see, that momentum, that energy was broken just by that one car being a little indecisive on the move he wanted to make. And you can see what impact that has in that entire line of cars up top. They're going to have to form back up, get that energy back like they're doing right now. And now that they're back in line, they're in that tandem or that train formation, you can see the 1 really starting to pull now as he's getting a great shot. Oh my, from the 21 of Richard Springer, but so is TBB in the 42 of David
into the wall,
Wright.
DK. Oh, and he's hard into the wall.
Massive contact.
Jordan Van Westen got into the back of DK as he was coming up off of the wall. No caution. But a heavy bit of contact there for DK. We're going to try to go back and take a look to see what happened there. DK into the pits immediately.
Yeah, the Drift King here, he got 8 up at Daytona here. Just showing you guys how easy it is from everything being fine to everything being wrong out there on the racetrack.
Go back, take a quick look to see. Looks like we're a little bit... You
can see the 14 there. Second car from the tail, the train there. Getting some help from the 19. all is well and calm as he continues to get that support from that 19 machine being piloted by Cody Barber.
Oh, just got in there high and got up into the wall, and 62 might have gotten a little bit loose, chased it back up the track, and
and then he breaks the momentum. It looked like he was trying to figure out where he wanted to go or pick him up. Then he realized how much momentum he had lost. In the front of this car, it's like a jack. And you've seen it in full effect there as he made contact and lifted the Drift King, the 14, right, the back tires right off the ground.
yeah, heavy damage for the 14 there. Tough way to start this thing. We've got 10 laps complete. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he's led most of them, but that one car super strong up on the top side with help from Richard Springer. Now the inside lane getting a bit more momentum coming off of turn number 2. Tell you what, though, Austin Collins not giving up anything up on this top side.
You want to talk about a mean machine. That 42 is a locomotive. That man can push a Gen 4 car, and that's who you want behind you. And TBB says, I got you a T-bone steak, buddy. Just stick it right there. And just look at the time they can make up when the 42 latches onto the back of that 8 machine. It's like the rocket booster out there. But you're right about Austin Collins, AC. He also has another thing going for him. That's confidence. He won here the first time around. Former champion, veteran race car driver. The last thing you want to do is give that man more confidence. And that's exactly what the one is working with right now. Is he continues to lead that top shelf where Mama hides the cookies, but not when that 42 is literally got that 8 machine all jacked up and ripping around this racetrack. That is impressive drafting or pushing by the 42.
Yeah, these cars very, very tough to bump draft in. They're not lined up on the bumpers like really any of the generation of stock car after this, from Gen 5 all the way up to now the Gen 7 car. Those bumpers line up a lot better, but I mean, you noticed when I believe the 62 of Jordan Van Westen got into the back of the 14, how much it lifted that 14 car up off of the ground. These bumpers do not align. Even at a slow impact, like 2 or 3 miles an hour, trying to bump draft somebody, you could jack their rear tires up off the ground and get them turned sideways, get them turned towards the wall, and create something massive. So excellent job here out of the 42 to be able to get as close as he is, maybe putting a little bit of a touch to him, but not affecting or disrupting the handling of that 8 car in front of him. That's a really good job of pushing, and like you said, Matt, somebody you definitely want to have behind you later on in the going.
Yeah, that is impressive, and I cannot stress enough to the viewers right now how difficult that is to master. When I was out there practicing, I had a big mirror full of Thomas Harmon in the 68 coming. It was terrifying, I'm not going to lie. He got on my bumper, and my car was skewing all over the place, but the minute he did that, we rocketed towards the front, but it was a handful. I was chasing that car right, left, right, the whole entire time we were hooked up. And he just makes it look so gracefully as we go on board at TBB, looking at the nose of that 42 of David Wright. You would think the car's on autopilot, cruise control. He just makes it look effortlessly at times when he latches up, knowing that one wrong move dumps that 8 car, the 8 having the faith to do that. That's impressive.
Here comes JP up on the top side. Big push from Brandon Borby. Talked to JP a little bit before the race. He said that the 74 and the 45 are going to be ones to watch throughout the course of this thing. Right now, these guys leading up the outside. They had a strong run down the front straightaway coming up off of 2. We're going to see if they can keep that momentum, or if that 42 on the back bumper of the 8 is going to continue to propel those inside cars forward.
That's right, the 74, the 45, the shake and bake boys. Watch these guys work together. You know JP's been hungry for a win. Look at him coming down side, drafting a little bit there off the 42, trying to throw the old stall Jake brake. And the 45 and the whole line immediately comes with him, and that's so important in maintaining that momentum to make that side draft work. And look at the 40, look at the 74 continue to pull that outside train, almost dead even with the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. JP and company are coming on the top side.
And one thing I'm noticing, it looks like that top side is overall, they're gathered together a little bit. Now we see Philip Bush kind of getting up closer to the back bumper of the 42. But it's mostly been the 8 and the 42, a car length or 2 up in front of the 64. Well, the top side has been really less than a car length apart throughout the whole 4 cars. So I think that might have something to do with why those guys are able to cut through the air a little bit better up on the top side. But as the 64 Philip Bush gets closer to the back bumper of the 42, that should help that inside lane push forward a little bit more.
And you're right on cue. There they go. Just like you said, great expert analysis, and I could not agree with you more. It's funny to say that a game of inches at 200 miles an hour is even in the conversation, but that's exactly what happens here in this draft. Is now you got the 74, the 45. They are tandem with the 42 in the 8. And you can see just like the speed boost they get when they connect in lock bumpers. They just shot right in front of the 74 and the 45 of David Wright like it was nothing. That is impressive drafting work on the bottom line, but you can't admire, or you got to admire the fight on that top sideline. These guys are staying hooked up as well. Great pushing from the 45 of Brandon Roby. He's got the 21 of Richard Springer up there, 6 spots from where he started. I'm sorry, up 2 spots from where he started. He's having a good going so far as well. And how about newcomer Philip Bush there in the 64 machine, having a solid day as well so far.
Yeah, definitely a good run for that 64. A great run up top, though, as JP is clear of the bottom if he wants it. He stays up on the top side with Brandon Burby, but that's the first time we've seen anybody get clear up on the top side. We'll see how this top run's going to come. But now there's David Wright in the 42. He's about 3 car lengths up in front of the 64, just pushing the ever-loving bumper out of that 8 car. Not quite enough to push him out front of that 74, but these guys putting up a massive fight on the inside. Here comes David Wright sliding up just a touch. Got super close to that 74, but now Burby and Pandolf coming up on the top side. Let's see what these guys can do.
Yeah,
there's Richard Springer getting to the back bumper of him as well.
Yeah, look at this. The 74, the 45, and the 21. I mean, they were as perfect could be there for a moment. They actually, like you said, they took the position away the first time. But when you watch that 42 machine, when he hooks up and latches onto the 8, it's like the warp drive kicks on, like something out of Star Trek. They just check out and they're gone, and they can do it at any time, as you're seeing right now. You can't even see the headlights on that Grand Prix in that 42. That is impressive to watch. Is now the bottom line being led by TBB. They go back to the point. James Pandolf, David Wright, Brandon Burby, Richard Springer, your top 5. And it is still side by side from the drop of the green flag as we are now working lap 20 already. I can't believe 20 laps have gone by.
Absolutely. These guys are going to finish this thing before it gets all the way dark at this point. The outside lane formed up together a little bit better, but that tandem draft of TBB and David Wright. Taylor Butcher Benjamin going to lead that time around, but not by much. These lanes are virtually equal every single time they come across the line. Giving us Truex and Hamlin vibes at the line.
Darn right. I'm having a hard time up here holding my breath. These guys are masters. If you guys listen to at home on the YouTube, on the SRM YouTube channel, you're thinking about joining the family, you love this type of racing, is the 45 and the 74 pull the power move and drop down and say, we got you, boys. That's a statement move right there. But
look who's going coming up to the top side now. Little bit of a crossover. David Wright's with them. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, David Wright. Now they've got Richard Springer behind him. Into the wall is the 19.
19 just kissed the wall there a little bit. Probably got sucked up into it. He should be okay. Hopefully he won't lose the draft here. He should be able to drop down here and pick up the tail of the bottom line, as these guys at the front are lights out, slicing and dicing for position, and we're not even a quarter of the way.
Yeah, we're just past 25% through this race. 21 laps complete. Going to be 22 this time by Brandon Burby. Here's TBB up on the top side, though, getting her done with help from the teammates. Those guys are strong up on the top side. See if they can get clear and try to jump back down. Not quite getting down into one. Never mind. Taylor Butcher Benjamin goes. He ditches the 42, and now up to the top side comes Philip Bush. to take the third place on the top side.
I can't believe that the 8 of TBB just bailed on the 42. But hey, that is racing as now he picks up a big push from the 74. James Pandolf says, hey, Matt, I can do it too. It's now Richard Springer coming alive to the front in the 21. He's now the one giving the shot to the 42. He's been doing all the hard work in the early going. The 42 leading that top side line now, slightly ahead, but here comes a hard charge from the bottom is the 45, the 74 Pandolf, and of course, Taylor Butcher Benjamin know how to lead a train around this 2.5 mile facility right here in Daytona, Florida.
Yeah, they certainly do. Here's the 42 and the 21. Try to work together up on the top side, utilize that tandem draft, utilize the top side momentum that we've seen other guys be able to work with. David Wright, Richard Springer, and Philip Bush, all three are able to nose up in front of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. The 42 and 21, they could have come down if they wanted to, but elect to stay up on the top side. That's where they like that momentum. And we mentioned the 19 scraped the wall just a little bit before. Cody Barber, he's fourth place up on that top side. Trying to take away sixth place from Brandon Burby.
Yeah, trying to take away sixth place, and that's smart too on the logistical side of racing. The last thing you want to do, working with your other competitors, running the top shelf early, is bail on them because they're going to remember that later on as it comes down to crunch time. And if they think you're going to bail on them, they're probably going to push someone out. So that was great strategy there. And in my opinion, it's now the 21 gets a hunk of steam to the 42, gets him loose, comes out of the groove. The 21 now is going to slingshot by Richard Springer, has sprung to life at Daytona. He leads with a lot of help now from Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who was teamed up behind him. But here comes the 42 strong on the top shelf, and he's got help from Philip Bush in that 64.
And Philip Bush hasn't really been in a position of pushing at all today. Now he's got the big chance to get that 42 up in front of him out to the race lead. Looks like Richard Springer might have been trying to block both lanes there. Nothing doing there. Is able to get down in front of TBB once again. Here comes the 42 up on the top side, though, with a push from from Philip Bush.
That Pontiac is fast in tow or out in front. That 42, he is on a rail here tonight. This is probably some of the best racing I have seen from him all season. And a car that's just as bad fast as he is out there on the racetrack. They got the 3-car trio on the top side, Philip Bush, and then the 19 as well, another newcomer having a great run in the early going. That's the Cody Barber machine, as they are right there with the front 3 on the bottom. 3 versus 3. Who is it going to be? As they just can't seem to get an advantage once they get side by side. It seems like the low line there will stall out, and other times the top line will stall out there. It just seems to depend on who's just a little bit tighter. As once again we form up as they're just about side by side here, coming through the turns 3 and 4 complex. The 21 of Richard Springer right on the bottom, shortest distance around the track. But watch the run the 42 and the 42, the 64, the 74 are going to have here. I'm sorry, the 19, as they pull about dead even with Richard Springer here as we're going across the start. Coming through turns 3 and 4 now. My mistake.
Richard Springer out front. Taylor Butcher Benjamin trying to clear second place. A little bit more momentum now. Here comes TBB up to the top side. Philip Bush got a little bit loose there. Had to check off the throttle just a touch, and now David Wright, TBB back together again, working that top side, trying to tandem draft. JP on the bottom side looked up to get a little bit of a run there in the 21, but
did you see that move by TBB? That was an all-out suicide mission to get back hooked up with the 40. Oh!
42 almost thought about 3 wide there. Thought better of it. These guys get back to double wide. Things starting to heat up a lot now. Things starting to get a little bit more dicey as we're approaching 30 laps through this race. Of course, we've got pit stops, and we do have a bit of an update. Matt Sisler, he jumped on to the YouTube chat saying he's very unhappy at the moment. Believe he was caught up behind that Jordan Van Western, Jacob Glodulus incident. I don't think he got any damage, but right now he's sitting there with the 62 machine. These guys a little bit off pace. That 93 not able to get the speed he wants with that drafting partner. Likely going to go a lap down.
Let me say something about Matt Sizzler here really quick. This man faces so much adversity in these races, and especially in the league that I race with him in. It seems like every race, go back to Sonoma, almost this man has to come from the back, a lap down, and then come back to the front again. Matt, I hear you. I know you're mad. You got plenty of time as that main pack is coming, but certainly that 93, every right to be upset, but he has the skill, he has the performance in that car to be a factor if Lady Luck should be on his side. As you can see just how quickly this lead pack is running down those two cars about 5 seconds out in front of that 21 and that 8. Now working the top side with back to work with his old battle buddy there, the steamroller in that 42 of David Wright.
Yeah, not too long until those guys out in front end up getting lapped. But Matt Sisler, without any damage on his car, he should be able to latch onto this pack and hope for a caution, get that free pass. Might be a little bit tougher for the 62 to stay with the pack with that damage on the front end of his car. But here's Taylor Butcher Benjamin coming back down to the bottom side in front of Richard Springer. Those guys have about a car length on JP, who's the third car in line on the bottom. Now Springer moves back up in front of the 42 to take the lead up on the top side. Is he going to lead this lap? It's close at the line, but TBB has it there. Richard Springer, though, pulling out front. Now he's going to get about a car length. Is he going to jump down? Yes, he is. No, he's not. He thought about it.
Not.
Now he's going to get down. He's trying to play both lanes here.
How bad does this man want to stay out front? He says, I've been trying all season. I'm not going back there. And Richard Springer is full send here at the front of the field. He is committed right now, as he was definitely playing the air off both lines. Nicely done, but that certainly could be dangerous.
Oh, into the wall is the 62, just trying to stay out of the way of these guys. Sideways coming up off of 4. He's going to come into the pits. Matt Sisler just in front of these guys now as well. They're going to be 3 wide getting around him, but they should be able to get by just fine. There's only 2 cars in the middle lane.
Yeah, and Matt Sisler should be able to stay in tow there with the 42 and the 64, I believe, and be able to maintain there and be the first car a lap down. As look at the fight in the 42 and the 64 of Philip Bush. These two have been working hard together as well as they continue to lead the charge there on the front line. Here comes the cavalry. They're the few but the strong, as it's 3 on basically everyone in the rest of the field. No problem. We can do this with such a strong run by that 42 machine. These guys on the top side hanging tough, taking on the entire rest of the field on that bottom train and being able to make it work. That is impressive.
Remember, we're going to have a pit stop coming here. These guys can't make it 80 laps on a tank of fuel. If they don't see a caution, obviously that's going to lead us to green flag pit stops. And saw a little bit of practice of that during practice, but it's a real tough pit road to get down from 190 miles an hour down to 55. There's DK having a little bit of trouble as these guys get around him. He's going to go another lap down.
You know, you brought up a great point about getting down to 55 miles an hour. You can make so much time up on the entrance to pit road, but on the same token, it can completely destroy and take you out of the race. Especially as we're getting ready to set up here for a green flag stop, those seconds that you can potentially make on that pit stop are going to have huge implications over the course of this next segment of the race. So look for these drivers. Who's going to be aggressive? Who's going to be conservative? But pit stops, especially here at Daytona, these are critical under green flag conditions.
David Wright looking down to try to block that inside lane, and now 3 of those 4 teammates for Dysfunctional Patriots Racing are on the inside lined up. The 4th one is Cody Barber up in that 19 car. Not going to be able to get down with his teammates this time, but so far, Dysfunctional Patriots, these guys have been on it all day. And now here comes Richard Springer up to the top side once again, and David Wright with a push from Philip Bush.
You're right, there is function in the dysfunction. That mayhem is working for these guys, and Richard Springer continues to impress. Up now 6 spots from where he started, second biggest mover of the race so far. The second one, he's in 5th. Cody Barber in that 19 machine is now Springer. He is going to play the deck here once again, come down and make friends with the 42 on the bottom. The 42 thinking about peeking to the top side. Let's see if Springer goes with him. No, he's going to stay down low, get hooked up with the 8. They're now side by side at the line here. It almost seems like every lap at the line, we have a photo finish, and that is one of the things that you cannot discount about this racing here at Daytona.
Absolutely, and that may spell out what we're going to see at the end. A photo finish. Definitely something we see a fair amount of at these types of races, these super speedway races. But the way that these guys have been pushing, trading lanes, pushing each other down the back straightaway, getting these runs going down into the corners, I don't know what we're going to see, but it's going to be amazing as they're looking to get 3 wide. There's Richard Springer getting up the racetrack. TBB's trying to check up to let him back in, but that destroys the momentum on the inside line. 42 is going to have a strong run to get down to the bottom, but Richard Springer, he's going to lose the race lead. Philip Bush might be able to get down clear. Nope, not quite. Does the 42 come down? He's going to stay up top. Richard Springer back down to the bottom, coming to take the race lead.
I'll tell you what, Richard Springer owes Taylor Butcher Benjamin a Bud Light and a steak dinner for letting him in and putting himself in jeopardy of getting spun and spun hard as that bottom lane was coming with a ton of steam. JP, the 45, they had to take evasive action to not get into the back, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin, as he really deployed the emergency button and allowed the 21 of Richard Springer back down to the bottom, but to the top side. The 42 right in the way. How about it? Now he clears down low. He throws the door slam on the 21 of Springer, and they're going to hook up.
Philip Bush he's been the pusher for all of these guys as they go and trade the lead back and forth. Mainly it's been Richard Springer and David Wright these last couple of laps, but now Philip Bush coming up on the top side with a push from Cody Barber, trying to get up and take the race lead from this dysfunctional racing league or team guys.
Yeah, big impressive runs so far here from some newcomers here tonight as well. Dysfunction Racing, 42 at David Wright. I mean, these guys are just incredible. I can't think of the last time I've seen a race at Daytona with some of these pristine premier drafters that we have on display here right now in the DRL series. You don't see this every day, and you certainly love to appreciate it. Is now Philip Bush going all the way to the top side of the racetrack. Now he's getting a big shove from Cody Barber in that 19 machine. If you didn't know who he was, you know who he is now, is he is making a big run at the top. Is he the 64 clears the 42, but that inside line, the shorter way around the track, they're going to prevail slightly. But those two, the 64 and the 19, they are doing a heck of a job staying hooked up, and they are getting it around this racetrack as they're still side by side at the line. A little bit of separation, though. That's probably going to pull that top groove back as the 19 has fallen off the back now of that 64.
Seems like JP is trying to figure out where to go. He keeps peeking up to the top side, but then jumping back to the bottom. I think he's getting a little antsy. I think he wants to move, but these guys just passed halfway now. It's opened up the pit window. You know you made it here. You can make it to the end. So we'll see when these guys start to make pit stops. It's going to be relatively easy being single file. Not that there's any easy way to make a green flag pit stop here. But with these guys all being single file, it's going to be a lot calmer, I guess, than it would be if they were double or even 3 wide trying to make pit stops.
Right, because then you have that massive migration. Everyone on the top side has to get down, which makes it stressful. Then sometimes you have guys going to pit road. They don't know who's pitting. Contact out on the racetrack, and we've seen that over the course of history. And those lead sometimes to some very violent wrecks out there on the racetrack. But the 42, the 21, continuing to get it done, is now they go back to the point.
Philip Bush, I got to give him a shout out here. He's up all alone, still sitting up here, running 3rd place on the top side. Most everybody else has left him. The 19, his big pusher, has fallen back to 7th on the inside lane. Philip Bush doing a great job by himself. He's sitting up in third place. Look at this.
I take it back. You can be a one-man army and get it done here at Daytona. Philip Busch. Does the name have anything to do with this performance? It may, because I have never seen this before. How is that 64 just hanging by himself? With this, I don't have an explanation for this. Do you?
I don't know if it's the side draft or if it's just he's getting enough from the cars up front. But man, this is an impressive performance from that 64, running up on the top side by side with your second place runner Richard Springer, trying to take second place away with no help. Is he going to be able to get up to the race leader? That's my question here, and it looks like he's there. He's up to the quarter panel, side by side for the race lead, all by himself.
What is happening right now is that man is defying physics, everything that defines the sport in blank racing right now. No help, no problem, is he has mastered the side draft, and he is now pulling ahead of the 42 and the 21, who have been some of the strongest cars in the field. I can't believe this is incredible.
This is awesome stuff to see. These guys have got to be approaching a pit stop sometime soon here. Philip Busch now loses a little bit more time, falling back to the side-by-side battle of third place, and now fourth as JP gets to his inside, and, well, maybe not. Still side-by-side with TBB.
You know, I know Philip Busch is a newcomer in the series, but he's driving out there like someone that's been doing it forever, that knows something no one else does. Or is it beginner's luck? Does he not know that you're not supposed to be able to do that? I don't know. But here he comes yet again.
Now, this may be his first season with us, but that does not by any stretch of the means make him a rookie here on iRacing or make him a rookie in this plate package. But he is doing an incredible job as now Austin Collins in the one car is seeing what he's doing. He says, hey, I want to get up into the top 5. I want to see what it's like up here. As now the inside cars start to come in. Here's even Philip Busch coming in. And Philip Busch into the grass. So is Richard Springer. Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Springer's around. Not quite around. Keeps her straight.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Getting down to pit road. Getting down to speed. Getting pushed off into the grass. And the 64 of Busch goes through the lawn here at Daytona. Is now he has to basically go around the track again and come in and pit, giving up that crucial time. Multiple drivers affected here. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he may be in line here for a change of tires, a new race suit as well, as he had a big moment there on pit road as he's still down in his box.
Yeah, I believe Richard Springer, Brandon Brorby, Cody Barber, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, all nailed for speeding there. So these guys, and Austin Collins, as he came into the pits, he goes into the grass. Missing out on that action there as we were trying to discover why these guys are still on the pit lane. But Matt Burgess, Thomas Harmon, Austin Collins, Sam Niederhelm into the pits now. David Wright, James Pandolf. They're going to be sitting pretty right now. They're the first two out. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Richard Springer, Brandon Brewery, Cody Barber, all of those guys going to have to take the 42nd hold. As now TBB is able to get out just in front of Thomas Harmon. And Matt Burgess, Thomas Harmon, your race leader. And all these guys coming out with them. They're going to be on the lead, or in the lead pack, but they're all going to be one lap down. Which is going to be a super tough break for all of them because there's only one free pass.
You want to talk about a tidal wave swing in a competition event. That's what you just seen out there on the racetrack. And on top of that, to add even more insult to injury, such great performances we were seeing tonight out of Busch, Richard Springer, the 42. I mean, guys that were having drives of the season potentially gone from one mistake getting on the pit road. And that's why I was putting the emphasis on it earlier, because it could make or break you. And that's almost, I hope that's not what happened, because these guys are putting on an awesome show, but they certainly have their work cut out for them now.
I'll tell you what, another guy who didn't want to see all of those penalties is Matt Sisler. He was in line to get that free pass, but now with 4 more drivers a lap down from Taylor Butcher Benjamin on down in 8th, it's going to be a real tough task. He's going to need a lot of yellow to try to get that lap back, or at least one, and to be able to race up with those guys and then get another one. Here
If there's
comes-
anyone that can do it, it's that 93 machine. But look at this. No wasting no time getting back into Dynasty Racing League fashion. Look at Thomas the Hammer Harmon. He's dialing up the steam behind that 19 machine, pushing the bottom. The 12's going to come in tow.
Meanwhile, Richard Springer and Brandon Brorby try to take their lap back the hard way. Cody Barber has already done it. Taylor Butcher Benjamin just in front of these guys. Still has not gone a lap down yet. So I was incorrect in my earlier statement. He's still on the lead lap, but only by about half a second of track position and losing that massively. So he's going to stay on the bottom with his teammate Cody Barber. They're going to check up on the inside. That's going to allow Brorby and Springer to get back on the lead lap. The 14 car up in the wall as he lets these guys go. He's got damage from that earlier incident that we saw. So now we've got 4 drivers on the tail end of the lead lap. Leader of the race is 5th in line here, Thomas Harmon. Then we've got Matt Burgess right behind him. Austin Collins getting passed by JP, James Pandolf. This trio of drivers is a good 2 seconds behind your top 2 who are running with these lap down cars.
Yeah, but if that trio of cars back there can stay single file, if we do decide to get 2 by 2, that will certainly help them run that lead pack down. And if you want to talk about friends in low places, hey, guess who's got a bunch of them? That 8 machine of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, as they basically took him into the very front of that line when he caught the lead draft. Friends, again, they are everything here at Daytona, and that's what friends do. You never, ever hardly see that. A lap car going a lap down, getting glued to the front. That says a lot about the respect they have for that person piloting the 8 machine.
Absolutely does. And I got to say, if you're Thomas Harmon, Matt Burgess right now, you're fine with staying in line a little bit as long as you can keep the gap to the cars behind you. JP, he's catching up a little bit. It's sitting about 1.5 and gaining quickly now. These guys have caught the tail end of this tow. These guys are tandem drafting right up to the tail end of it, and we might see these guys get side by side up here.
Do you see this head of steam that 42 has got coming? Are you kidding me?
These cars, the way they draft it is absolutely something else. As we're riding on board here, watching these cars up in front just get bigger and bigger and bigger off the roof here. David Wright. Big push to JP, and now these guys are more than likely just going to swing up top, take the momentum as far as it'll take them. As now it's side-by-side for second, side-by-side for the race lead down the back straightaway. And look at the head of steam these guys continue to have. They're going to try to lap all these cars. TBB goes a lap down. Brandon Brorby going a lap down. Richard Springer at risk of going a lap down.
A lap down. All because the 74 has Captain Smoke 'em all, the 42 behind him. He is just nitroing the 74.
And JP goes and leaves the 42 up top. He's going to try to get some lap cars between him and second place. TBB trying to push the 42. Those are teammates. Not racing for position. TBB 1 lap down, but still trying to get his teammate out front as these guys have a big run coming up off of turn 2. Rather, here comes Richard Springer into the middle. They're 3 wide down the back straightaway. David Wright coming to take the lead. 2 lap cars up on top of JP. Now here comes the 19 looking middle. Decides better of it. David Wright going to come down in front of JP. David Wright gets turned by Richard Springer. The leaders get together. Big crash in turn 4. Thomas Harmon. Oh, and Matt Burgess gets a piece of it.
Oh, the black hole strikes at the front, 3 wide, the sucker hole, and it unloads big time at the front of the field. Is all of our, basically the front pack of these, some of the fastest cars in Daytona. They have all been potentially eliminated from this race in a fraction of a second as the first 3 wide racing action on the track goes horribly wrong and collects multiple cars on the racetrack as we're now under the first caution of the day. Go back to the replay.
Yeah, we're watching on the blimp cam. Looks like Richard Springer just gets into the back of the 42, turns him sideways right in front of JP. Brandon Brorby nowhere to go as well. TBB gets bumped by the 19. And as JP comes up the racetrack, all 4 of those guys hit hard. Now watch Thomas Harmon here. So 42 slides right down. Might have been a little bit of a netcode contact on his right rear, but looks to be okay. Matt Burgess, nowhere to go here. Slamming on the brakes, locked up in the grass. Into the back of the 74.
Yeah, and the 68's definitely going to get the Tide Ride of the award, the Tide Ride Award of the race, because he's probably going to need some there for his race suit after that one, as the 68 merely escapes death, as he is somehow able to sneak by. But this is the other part of Daytona, right? We've seen the great pushing, the amazing side-by-side action, what the 42 has been able to do, and it just takes one little miscue, an inch or two, and everything goes horribly wrong. But that's the reality of 4th gens at Daytona and plate racing. It just a fraction of an inch, and disaster, mayhem unfolds on the racetrack, as we are now under our first caution of the evening. As you see that iRacing.com pace car lights are on. The rest of the field has now come up to caught the back of the pace car. Your current leader, Austin Collins, AC in the 1. Sam Niederhelm in the 66, up 7 positions. Philip Busch continues to impress, up 5 in the 64. The 21 of Richard Springer and the 68 of Thomas Harmon. That's going to round out your top 5 as they run right now.
And while we've got a moment here under caution, we're going to go ahead and step aside, take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the finish of this thing here in the night race at Daytona. Back live here. Sorry about that. Missing the restart there. They went 1 to green. And now Austin Collins leads over Philip Busch, Sam Niederhelm, Thomas Harmon, Matt Burgess coming up off of turn number 2.
And guess who's back? Back again. Sizzler's back on the lead lap. Now he's got to find a friend. I told you that 93 could get it done, and he's right back in contention. That Everham Dodge is fired up. He is hungry, and he is looking to prove that he can contend here at Daytona, as this man is known for being a super speedway ace. As he's working the bottom line, he is in tow, and everything is go in that 93 camp, as he is able to overcome early trouble once again here.
Here comes Sam Niederhelm up to the top side. Haven't seen him up front all day. He's been kind of straggling towards the back of the pack, playing his strategy. Wait until some of these guys get wrecked out in front of him. And now, coming to 20 laps to go, Sam Niederhelm with a big push from Thomas Harmon. Look at that, Austin Collins and Thomas Harmon side by side. Who would have thunk it? But Sam Niederhelm is the guy on point.
Hey, they say you never know what can happen at Daytona, and if you're in it, you can win it. And the 66 is picking them up and laying them down. You got 2 6s working together, the 66 of Niederhelm and the 68 of Thomas the Hammer Harmon on the top side. You got a lot of help from JP as well. Everything is fine. Well, like you said, what a surprise here. That 66 to the point on the top side of the racetrack. It's Daytona, baby. Anything can happen.
Yeah, he's been towards the back of the pack, just kind of chilling in the single file line that was straggling half a second off of the lead pack earlier on. But after that crash, he found himself up front. He doesn't want to give up that track position right now, as he's side by side with Austin Collins for the race lead. And Philip Busch, look at him after that caution really benefited him too, after missing the pits, having to go through the grass, get back onto the track, and come back around to avoid the black flag. It was penalty enough to have to wait another lap, go through the gears again, get back up to speed just to come back down to the pits, but he was able to stay on the lead lap. And when that caution came out, I'd say he was probably the second biggest beneficiary, along with Matt Sisler, who got his lap back and is able to race with these guys on the lead lap for the win once again. So these guys approach 20 laps to go. The 66 Sam Niederhelm is taking another big push from Thomas Harmon, put him out front down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Sam Niederhelm knocking him dead on the top line. What a race he's having. Also, biggest mover of the race, up 8 positions, now 7 positions. Is that bottom line, getting a ton of help there from the 64 of Busch, who continues to also impress. Comes up with I don't know if that was a side draft or he slid up, but that got a little scary there for Thomas Harmon. But look, that's what you have to do. I mean, these guys are doing what they have to do to run at these speeds. I mean, these lap times are insanely impressive as the 66 now comes down to the bottom to pick up the one of Austin Collins. How bad do you want to say up front, Sad Niederhelm? I see your answer, man, as he made an aggressive move there to pick up the bottom lane. The 66 still continues to carry the torch, as he has one heck of a pusher behind him now in the one machine of Austin Collins. You know that man's fast around Daytona.
Yes, sir. You know he's going to be quick, but right now, JP, Thomas Harmon, these two are quick on the top side together. We're going to see if this tandem draft that so many of these guys have been able to accomplish today is going to work on the top side once again. JP into the back bumper of Thomas Harmon, and we have 19 laps to go. These guys are going to start pushing a little harder and a little harder as these laps keep clicking down. We mentioned before, and we saw it in that first caution, these bumpers don't line up. You get a wrong push, you get a bad spot, you could send somebody sideways in an instant, and that could spell disaster for the rest of the field. So the aggression level is going to go up, but these guys have to consider their limitations there. As Thomas Harmon gets a strong run, a strong push from JP up on the top side, and we were able to ride on this blimp cam that whole lap just to see the momentum shifts back and forth from the top side to the bottom side, back to the top. It truly is incredible stuff here that we're seeing at Daytona, and these guys are some of the best to see on Saturday nights, if not the best. One of the cleanest leagues I've been able to call, and tell you what, to run 62 so far, 62 laps with only one caution flag, that is impressive.
It's extremely impressive. And, you know, having the sense and the ability to understand when that energy is going to wind up, and then that is going to basically fire off and that catapult you to the front, and understanding the dynamics of how these lines are going to work tonight is going to play a big factor who's in the right spot at the right time when that green flag falls. So much going on outside of this tight niche close quarters racing action at 200 miles an hour, having to think about the draft, having to think about the runs, where you want to start, what if it goes wrong, where do you want to go, what friends do you want to be with. There is so many things that driver is having to calculate inside of that race car, and that is a true testament to just how good they are right here in full display in prime time. Who is the right time for the DRL series right here on SRM. As you're looking out the back of the Scooby-Doo machine and Thomas Harmon, JP Pandolf, you can reach out and high-five that man at 200 miles an hour. That's how close they are.
Getting around the lapped car, a little sketchy when you're double wide, but these guys get through it okay as DK goes another lap down here. He might be able to gain a couple of spots over Cody Barber, who's in 12th place. He's 8 laps in front. Jordan Van Westen, he's already been able to get around him. Now David Wright, just in front of this group, he's at risk of going a lap down. You see the damage to the left side. Obviously got turned around in that first caution. Not the run he wanted to have after running up front for so many laps. So we got side-by-side action for the race lead. David Wright might be a little bit quicker than DK, so.
Yeah, David Wright there just...
Roby looks down to the bottom of JP, but JP covers him off, and now Richard Springer is stuck alone up on the top side.
Hey, we've seen it can be done. Now, everyone's going to try to impersonate here what Philip Busch was able to do, hanging tough on the outside. Richard Springer's going to give it a go as he is side-by-side with the 68 of Thomas Harmon. He's doing a pretty good job of it right now. If you ask me, he's going to come down there, get a little more side draft, help him carry the momentum through the corner. The help is coming, though, Richard. Yeah. Here comes Philip Busch on the top side. He's going to be able to get to the 21 and pick him up.
Yeah, chasing him down. 2 is going to work a lot better than 1, but Philip Busch, the guy who was able to get it done earlier on the top side alone, right before these guys came in to make pit stops. Richard Springer right up next to Thomas Harmon. Trying to work that side draft with the 64s right up to Springer now.
That is just incredible how these cars can side draft and be able to maintain that kind of speed out there by yourself. I never would have thought it'd be possible in a million years now, but we've seen a couple drivers show us that it can be done. As Richard Springer still continues to put on a heck of a show here under the lights in Daytona. And don't look now, but guess who's at the point? That's 74, James Pandolf.
With Brandon Brorby right behind him.
The 40, just like they said they were going to do.
Now Richard Springer on the top side of Niederhelm. Trying to work with the 64 Philip Busch, but those guys not quite as close together as they might want to be. The inside lane is formed up. Oh, and around goes Brandon Brorby!
Right in front of Sizzler and others.
Austin Collins caught up in it. Matt Burgess with damage to the front end. The caution comes out once again. Austin Collins gets that thing refired and drive it away, but Brandon Brorby got turned around quickly into turn 3.
That went from calm to mayhem in less than a tenth of a second as Brandon Brorby went for a wild ride. Watch him get all this energy dialed up from Harmon and company.
Oh, a big net code.
Net code.
Huge. There was probably 2 feet in between them. And nowhere for Collins to go. Gets clipped there. So does Burgess.
I mean, these guys are doing it so good out there that the iRacing algorithm can't even keep up with it. And it's so unfortunate because that net code potentially just ruined the night for a couple big name drivers in this series. But that is one of the adversities we face here in sim racing is net code, and that's exactly what happened there. Is the 45 just snapped around and took out the 1 of Austin Collins, made contact with the 12 of Matt Burgess, and the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin barely able to escape by. But on the other side of this is always someone's fortune, and I believe that allows David Wright to get back on the lead lap. Great camera work there by Liam Irving, your managing producer here tonight, getting you just up close and personal with the action as possible to show you that net code gone wrong there as it claims the lives of multiple cars here. The 45, Brandon Broby, the 12. Just, you hate to see a glitch there on the sim side of things when the racing is this good. But unfortunately, that is one of the things that we face here in the sim realm. Netcode and those dreaded internet connection drops, as they are treacherous, it seems at the worst of times, as we're back now under caution. Caution 2 is out as we're working lap 70. James Pandolf, JP, he is your leader, up 5 positions from where he started. Don't look now. You got the 68, the Hammer. Thomas Harmon in second. Sam Niederhelm doing one heck of a job. He's up 6 spots in the 66th position. Thank him for your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. In fourth, the 64 of Philip Bush, who's putting on just as heck of a show as the 66 is. Richard Springer as well. He is in fifth. Matt Sizzler now got his lead lap back, just like I said he could, and he would. The 93, he's in P6. Don't forget about Sizzle time. I know he's riding in the back. He's trying to avoid what we just seen, the big wrecks. When it comes time to go, that 93 will come to life in 8th position. That's going to be Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Austin Collins in 9th, and Brandon Broby in 10th.
Taylor Butcher Benjamin just getting out of the pits here. Austin Collins looks to be going a lap down. Nope, he's going to get out in front of the pace car. Brandon Broby, however, looks to have gone just a lap down.
Yeah, not as fortunate there for the 45.
So he'll be hoping for another yellow to get him back on the lead lap. But these guys doing quick cautions here. Lights are already out on the pace car. We've got 10 to go. Going to be 9 at the restart. JP, James Pandolf versus Thomas Harmon. Sam Niederhelm, Philip Bush, and Richard Springer round out your top 5.
It's nighttime. 9 laps to go. What's your plan, producer man? What position do you want to be in here if you're coming to green flag here right now? What's your strategy? What are you doing?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I think Thomas Harmon's in a good spot. If the outside can stay side by side coming up off of turn 2, they're going to have the momentum. But I really think that the middle to outside has been stronger all night. That's where people are able to make more passes. If you can find a way to stay in the middle, stay up top, and defend that, you might be in the hot seat. That's not to say you're not going to get passed on the inside. But I think the outside's going to kind of be where you want to be when you're at speed. It just might be tough on this initial restart.
I agree with you. And the reason why I asked you your position is there's 100 different ways you can do this, and everyone's going to have a little bit different approach. And that's another thing that makes this type of racing so dynamic. Who is going to have the winning strategy in their playbook as that pace car pulls off the racetrack? JP in the Geico restart zone. He's going to murder the loud pedal, put it through the floorboard as these V8s come roaring back to life at 8,000 RPM. Thomas Harmon, he's going to drop down. He's going to pick up the 74. JP, that's exactly who wants to see behind him for the short going right now in that 68 machine, but they don't want to get out too far and allow this line to form up, being led there by Philip Bush and company on the bottom. Oh, they're going to go to the top. Big move, the 21 Wiggles.
Yeah, Philip Bush jumped up to the top side with Richard Springer, got loose. Springer got back down to the bottom. Matt Burge is still in this pack. Doesn't seem like his damage is going to be too terrible from getting into the side of the 1 car. Austin Collins staying at the back of this pack as well, along with Taylor Butcher Benjamin. A couple of those guys damaged from earlier crashes, able to stay with this pack, which is definitely good news for them. But right now, it's good news for JP as he holds on to the race lead. With that outside lane, Philip Bush, these guys are coming. Here's Taylor Butcher Benjamin and Austin Collins moving up to the top side with Philip Bush. 8 laps to go this time around. 20 miles here at Daytona.
JP probably in the cockpit of that car saying, push me, Harmon, push me, give it everything you got. as he is trying to get it done here at Daytona. He has one of the best guys in the league behind him to help him make that achievement, help him make that reality come into fruition here tonight. But we all know what's going to happen at some point in the very near future. These guys are going to forget about teammates and friends, and they are going to start just leaving people to hang out and drive, because a win is a win. What is that going to happen? Who's going to make the move? Well, we know that's going to be Busch right now in the early going here, as he's now leading the top side to the point there. He's got help from the 8 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Is that top line, like you said, now starting to get some momentum as they're getting stacked up.
Yeah, they definitely are. You see 5 cars ready to rock and roll up on the top side. They're side by side for second. JP holding on to the race lead. Thomas Harmon doing everything he can to push himself clear. Maybe even jump up to that top side and take the lead away on the outside. But Philip Busch with a huge run. Big push coming from Taylor Butcher Benjamin across the front straightaway. It's side by side for the race lead. With 6 laps to go. Things are really heating up as they wind down.
Hold your breath at folks home. Make sure grandma's got an extra set of popcorn and strapped in. Drivers, reach up, pull those belts tight one more time. And death grip the heck out of that steering wheel at over 200 miles an hour as the 74 is locked with the 68 and have hit the afterburner, trying to drag race and pull the side and get the advantage of the top line, being led there by the 64 of Philip Busch. Oh, the Busch is going to have a little bit of a bobble there, miscue. They're going to become disconnected and stack up in the back. That's going to give the momentum to the bottom of James Pandolf, the 68 of Thomas Harmon. Niederhelm continues to be running the race of his lifetime. And don't look now, but there's a Hugger Orange's 93 Dodge out there in the field in the form of Matt Sizzler, who is getting ready to show everybody perhaps what Sizzle time is out about. Don't forget about him back there as well. As we go back to the front, it's three against everyone right now. The 74, the 68, the 66, as they are nose to tail, they are tucked in line around this racetrack as we go off into the corner at 203 miles an hour.
Insane speeds these guys are pulling, getting down into the corners. Just 9 of them in this lead pack with a chance to win. Who's going to bring it home? James Pandolf all the way back to 9th place. Richard Springer is 0.35. 3.5 tenths of a second separating everybody in the top 9 here. And the top side working well. Philip Busch thought about coming down in front of JP. Didn't quite have enough space. Stays up top. We've got 4 laps to go, and Philip Busch looking for his first win on the season. JP also trying to take home a win, and Thomas Harmon up in 3rd place, trying to tie for the winningest driver in Dynasty Racing League history. Lots of storylines to play out here in the last 3.5 laps. Philip Busch up on the top side, JP on the bottom. Inside lane gets a bit better of a run, coming up off of turn 4.
Yeah, that inside lane, they're going to have the wind up, and you're going to watch that energy dissipate here as you see the 74 rocket to the front of James Pandolf. He's going to have the lead right now, but here comes that energy right back on the top, being led by an extremely impressive, where did he come from, Philip Busch tonight. He has been lights out from the drop of the green flag. And I'll tell you what, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he has been helping that man, working with him all night tonight. Is look at the help that he has on that top side. Just who you want to see. The 8, one of Austin Collins, veteran experience. They know how to get it done on the top, helping the new guy on the block get around here at Daytona, who is having the race of probably his lifetime here in the Dynasty Racing Series, as we're going to be side by side. Drag race coming through the tri-oval here. 74 versus the 64 at the line. I believe the 64 had the lead. He does. That moved Philip Busch back to the point. Is that 8 and the 1 are giving a heck of a shot to that one machine.
2 laps to go, and everybody's got to be racing for themselves right now. When does Taylor Butcher Benjamin maybe think about going 3 wide, or does he stay on the middle lane pushing the 64? 74, 68, and 66 are bumper to bumper. Now the 68 drops off just about half a car length. These guys are dead even getting down into turn 3.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to get a run. I think you're gonna have to break the draft here a little bit, maybe perhaps lag back just a little bit, or maybe you can just lock bumpers and hit the turbo button like we've seen. We're gonna have to find out, as it's still side by side. It's anyone's race at the line. One more lap to go here at Daytona.
DK gets out of the way. Philip Bush with a big push from Taylor Butcher Benjamin has about half a car length getting down into turn 1. The inside cars have separated just a little bit of a bump there to Philip Bush, gets him sideways, keeps his foot in the throttle. Now here comes the run for Taylor Butcher Benjamin going down to the inside, into the middle, there's contact, around goes JP, and the 64 of Philip Bush. Here comes Austin Collins on the top side. Can he make some last lap magic happen once again, or can Matt Burgess go 2 in a row? Richard Springer sits in 3rd place, trying to cut down Sam Niederhelm. Taylor Butcher Benjamin crash hard. Here comes Springer up to the top side. Burgess comes to cut him off. Burgess side by side for the race lead with Austin Collins. Matt Burgess through the middle takes the race win. 2 in a row.
The spin and win to Burgess. The one goes across the line backwards. What an insane finish here at Daytona. The 12, I can't believe it. I just witnessed here under the lights at Daytona. The 12 wins a wild one with the spin and win by thousandths of a second at the line. It doesn't get any better than that. Congratulations, Matt Burgess. How about that finish, bud?
Had Richard Springer in 2nd, Austin Collins in 3rd, and you could see Thomas Harmon. He was trying everything he could to push that middle car through so he could pass either the inside or the outside car, take a podium spot. Ended up getting that 12 car turned around. As I tell you what, if these guys had race twin diecast, that would be a glorious one to pick up after the earlier damage from Brandon Broby's spin. Austin Collins getting caught up in that as well. Collins comes home with a podium finish after getting caught up in that. Strong recoveries for both of these guys, and well, I'm still trying to catch my breath.
I am too. I can't believe if that start-finish line at Daytona was where it is at Talladega, Matt Sizzler had a head of steam coming. He could have potentially pulled one out of the hat, but the line at Daytona, it's close. It's right after the tri-oval, and that's what makes those tracks so different. As the Talladega, you have to go all the way down almost into turn 1. But Matt Burgess gets it done here in the Sunshine State of Florida, mirroring the 98 Earnhardt win, doing the donuts in the grass as the 12 pulls off a thriller and gets pointed in the wrong direction. No problem. Matt Burgess, Richard Springer, a heck of a run by that man in the 21. In Austin Collins, heartbreak there, but showing you why this man is a champion and why he is respected on the racetrack. Damage to the race car, adversity, no problem. Still pulls out with the podium, coming home in 3rd.
And we'll run through the rest of the results real quick before we get your winner up in here. Thomas Harmon, then Matt Sisler rounds out the top 5. Strong recovery for him as well. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, James Pandolf, Sam Niederhelm, Philip Bush, Brandon Brorby, David Wright, Jacob Gladulich, Cody Barber, Jordan Van Westen rounding out the field. But on the converse side of that, we're going to go ahead and bring in your race winner, Matt Burgess. Matt, Liam and Matt up in the booth. You got us.
Yeah, I got you.
Tell you what, man, 2 in a row. This is an absolutely phenomenal, we'll call it the summer stretch beginning for you. Walk us through that last lap, because I'm still not sure what I just saw.
Oh, I'm not exactly sure either. We were me and Austin were kind of trapped back there, in that P3 and P4 and that top line. And we were talking about going middle, and then I think just as we started to go for it, something happened with the outside 2. They got turned, and then I shot back to the outside with Austin, and we cleared the pack, and then I just kind of stayed on him until you get to middle of 3 and 4, and coming out of 4 there, and made my move, and I think Richard made his move too, and it was just a race to the end.
Yeah, we were going back watching it over. I believe you started that last lap in 7th place. Get through the crash on the back and time your move perfectly. Matt, what have you got for Matt?
Matt, that was, I don't even know what I just witnessed there at the end. Talk about when you're coming around the 1 there at the start-finish line, and the 68 gives you the bump, reminiscent of almost the spin and win I mean, at that point, did you know you're going to have a little bit of late draft health, or was it just full send and whatever happens after that?
No, it was just full send, and then I saw Thomas coming, and I knew he was going to hit me. But I'm like, we're close to the line. As long as it hits me, across the line, that's fine.
Yeah, at that point, it doesn't matter what way your car's facing. A win is a win. You got 2 wins now back to back. You have some serious momentum. You get the confidence, and we know what happens when drivers get on a roll like that. They go next level. What's it going to take to keep this success rolling in that 21 camp, that 12 camp? I'm sorry.
I don't know. It's just we work with Austin and Thomas, and even Sam's part of the team, and all 4 of us were here tonight, and unfortunately we couldn't all finish up up front, but at least a couple of us came in the top 5, or 3 of us I think in the top 5. But to keep it rolling, I don't know. I switched back to a Chevy from a Dodge, and I've won 2 in a row. So, and I switched my sponsor to Nuka-Cola, and I won 2 in a row. So hopefully it just keeps going. I didn't have time to race. I got a couple races in this year earlier that I didn't have time, and now my Saturdays are free again. And I guess at this point, I wish I'd been racing the whole season.
I couldn't agree with you more. That's Matt Burgess pulling off some bold moves here at Daytona, using help from his teammates, solid ones, Thomas the Hammer Harmon and others, helping that 12 machine get the dub here at Daytona. Well, you already gave a shout out here to the drivers. Anyone else you want to thank here on your team before we cut you loose, let you go celebrate that win?
I thank JP for putting on the league. I know he puts a lot of time into it, and you guys for the broadcast. I'll go back and watch it. I always do. It's fun to go back and watch broadcasts, and then see what happened in the race when you were either way out front or in back, and you didn't see everything that was happening. And then shout out to all the viewers that watch the broadcast, and we'll hopefully put on a good show.
Yeah, speaking of JP, can you stop at the concession stand? He's going to need some Dippin' Dots after that finish. Make sure he's okay for me.
Yeah, I'll have to check and make sure he's all set, and he can make sure he gets everything set up for next week.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, your winner tonight in the 12. Getting it done. That is the driver of that machine, Matt Burgess. Leah, back to you, sir.
Absolutely phenomenal run there for Matt. Now we're going to bring in Richard Springer. Oh, that was the wrong one there. All right, Richard, you come home in second place. Tell you what, after a wild last lap, do you think there was anything more you could have done to get the race win?
No, that was the best I could have hoped for. I know I was side to side there with Burgess at the end. I was following him the whole last segment of the race there, and finally he took the middle, so I went high, squeezed up in there, got second.
Yeah, it was a crazy last lap. You started it in 9th, you come home in second, but it doesn't even begin to describe the race you guys had. Walk us through earlier in the race. You were trading the lead back and forth with Taylor Butcher Benjamin and the 42 car, David Wright.
Yeah, my 2 teammates, they wouldn't give me a break. I'd go by them, they go back by, but I could pass them from second if if there was a gap, I could move to the high side, and they could always get pushed to the front. So I did that a few times. It's fun doing that. I feel like I'm best out in the front. It's hard. I led quite a few laps in a row there, so it's pretty fast when you're out there in the front by yourself. I mean, with somebody pushing you.
Yeah, you guys put on an absolute masterclass in terms of the push. It seemed like really you guys on your team are the only ones who are able to really get right up on somebody's bumper and almost pull off the tandem style drafting. You guys been practicing that a lot this week?
No, not at all. But during practice, I asked David about that. I said, "Yeah, as long as you're straight, you can push the guy a little bit. As soon as you get an X on your screen, you got to back off." So I did that a few times. It worked pretty well. It's really hard. I know I spun David there at one point because we had the cow car on the inside was all wiggly, and I went to the middle, and then he came down in front of me, and I ended up crashing him. So I apologize for that.
Well, it definitely was a good run for you today. Is there anybody you want to thank for such a strong performance here?
Yeah, I got to thank James for putting on the league. He's been doing this a long time, like 10 or 11 years, and thank my teammates and, of course, you guys for putting on the broadcast. So thank all and everybody that shows up and runs. That was really good.
Yes, sir. An absolute blast. Thanks for joining us up in the booth. What team should I send you back to?
Dysfunctional Patriots.
Dysfunctional Patriots. All right, man. Well, congrats on the podium finish. Go back, celebrate with your team.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, and then last but not least, we've got Austin Collins rounding out the podium. Matt, I believe you'll be with Austin.
Austin Collins, Matt, up into the SRM booth. You got me, sir.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
The one was fun to watch here tonight at Daytona. Talk to me about that damage you got on that race car earlier on in the run, and you were still able to make that car work for you and get up inside the top 3. How were you able to put on a charge late in the race and get yourself in position and stay out of harm's way?
Yeah, I missed the first initial big one there. I got checked up for that and missed it. I was sitting pretty good, and then with about 10 to go, we had that one weird net code, like, I don't know, bump thing that happened with Thomas and Brandon, and sent him sideways. And I felt like I was clear of it, and from what I've heard, Thomas, he got to go look back at it. Said there was a bit of net code that got me there, but that gave me about a minute 20 or so of damage, and got it all fixed up there on that last caution. And like I said, we hit it, just got her lined up back up in the field and tried to get, go where people weren't and make our way to the front. And we got there coming out of, or going into 3, because down the backstretch they tangled, because me and Matt we were kind of trapped back there 3rd and 4th on the top line, just nowhere really to make a move. 3 wide was kind of sketchy. As you see, Taylor tried to make the 3 wide move, and it didn't work out. So that's what I was trying to avoid, and we got by that. And then coming off of 4 there, I knew what Matt was going to do, and I really wanted to come up and block him. But with these cars, you can't. If he gets the run, you're along for the ride. There's nothing you can do. So I just had to hold him the bottom and hope that the momentum died out on the top, or Richard got to him and gave him a bump or something and got him loose. But it was a good race all in all.
That was a very entertaining race, and you're right about that net code. That was probably some of the biggest disaster of net code I've seen in a race in some time, as it took out a lot of strong contenders. Talk to me about that bump draft, and how were you guys able to pull that off? I mean, there was times the 42 of David Wright, you couldn't even read Pontiac on the front of that car. I mean, that's how hard he was pushing, and he was making it look easy. How do you guys do that?
You just gotta line it up real good. Like I said, I'm not the best at it, especially in these cars. I can push about anything else, but in these ones, it's very small room for error there. You just got to get lined up just right with them. And I said it's so easy just to lift those rears, just going down the backstretch there. But you're able to get right up on them, and draft just pushes them along in the pocket of air, and you're just able to push them on down. But it's just all about being real nice and smooth on the wheel there.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that is from one of the best in the business, telling you how to get it done at Daytona. Comes home 3rd tonight in the 1. That is Austin Collins, the driver of that Chevrolet. Who do you want to thank, man? Who helps you get it done here in prime time at Daytona before we cut you loose?
I got to thank the teammates a lot, because we had a plate track here. I said Matt's been coming out, running with us more. Like I said, he won last week, won again this week. Don't know if I should have brought him out of retirement. I thank Thomas and Sam. Sam hung out with us tonight. It was nice seeing him back on the track. And I thank JP putting on the league. All the other drivers that show up week in, week out. Without them, we wouldn't have no racing. So, like I said, we always want more. So, anybody else wants to race with us, find us. Dynasty Racing League. We're always accepting more people.
Yeah, let me add some link to that. I was out there with a couple laps with you guys. You guys just ran 80 laps. I was out there for 10. My fire suit had already changed colors by the time I got up to speed. I had Thomas Harmon coming up behind me in my mirror. I was terrified. I got done with that 15 laps. I was sweating out of breath. And you guys go out there for 80 laps and put out a clinic. Certainly some of the best competition in that 4th-gen car you're going to see on the racetrack. There he is again, your 3rd and final place finisher here tonight. That is the 1 of Austin Collins. Leon, back to you, sir.
Well, I'm still trying to get my heart rate down after an insane 80 laps and an even crazier last lap. Matt Burgess gets the job done, goes 2 in a row at 2 completely different styles of racetrack. The slow winding road course in Sonoma and the big fast high banks pack racing here in Daytona. Definitely earned that one. Pulled off the spin and win after, well, maybe not quite the spin and win, but got caught up in that crash with Austin Collins and Brandon Burby when he got turned around. Matt Burgess brings that Fallout Nuka-Cola Chevy all the way back to the front. Takes the checkered flag at the most prestigious of NASCAR racetracks.
With the win, then spin. We'll have to coin it that.
Yes,
That was
sir.
one heck of a show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if that hasn't already made you smash the like button and subscribe, you need to go ahead and do so right now, right here at Sim Racing Media. We have high-flying racing action 7 days a week, just like what you've seen right here at Daytona. Super Tuesday coming up early next week. 5 or 6 broadcasts. Whatever type of racing you like, I promise you, we will have some form of it either Tuesday night or throughout the week. As we ready to shut down these lights, waiting for my blood pressure to come back down as well. Still trying to figure out what just happened on the racetrack. We want to thank everyone for tuning in and joining us. This is Matt, Liam Irving signing out from Daytona. We'll catch you next time right here on SRM.